Hi everyone, Jen here today for Country Craft Creations. And today I am going to dive into creating these folios and showing you how simple it is to make um, different styled folios for any occasion. You can use these for um, inserts in your albums. You can give them away as gifts like a card. There's just so many things you can do with them. And I have been making folios for as long as I've been crafting. And I've just found many different types of folios out there. And I thought it would be fun to show you how to make a few of these. I'm going to start with two. And these are going to be, the first one I'm going to use the love letters. And I probably won't decorate it entirely, but I will show you how it's done. And mainly what I want to show you is the bases and what it takes to cover them. So the first one is this fun little one-page folio, and you would be amazed. This is made from one sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock. Yes, this is not my own design. This is something that, like I said, I do find some here and there on Pinterest as well as YouTube channels of friends and fellow crafters. But I have changed some things in it along the way to make it my own. So this is basically going to give you, out of one sheet of paper, you're going to get 12 total sides. If you want to embellish the back and add something, you can. I did not, but you get a total with this of 2 here, 2 here, 2 here. So we have 6, 1 here, 8, 10, 11 pages, and then your cover. So, and then you have this little flap to close. And I will show you just how simple this really is to make. These are so fun. And like I said, they can be used for absolutely any occasion. So I've already done one here using the Artisan Ivory cardstock. And I've cut my pieces, which I will tell you the measurements for the bases and the coverings of those. And as you can see, when we cut this, it ends up, and score this is what we end up with. But I want to show you exactly how I did that. This is the Artisan cardstock that I will be using. And the first thing we want to do is we want to cut this down to 11 3/4 by 11 3/4. So I am going to pull in a cutter here. Unhook this, and we just want to cut this down, like I said, to 11 3/4 by 11 3/4. So I'm just going to line this up here so I can cut that extra 1/4 inch that we don't need off. Cut it off this side. And aside from a couple pieces that are cut out along the way after we do our scoring, this is about the only amount of paper that you, small pieces that you waste from this one sheet of cardstock. So you have these two. And if you can find a use for these two little skinny pieces in your junk journals or something, save them. I am a true believer in using my scraps to the fullest. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to grab my scoreboard again, is we're going to put that 11 3/4 by 11 3/4 piece on our scoreboard. And we are going to begin by, I will show you this one laid out on here once again so you can see. This is our top. So when we are finished, put that there. This is what you have, and you can kind of see by laying this over this here what gets cut out. So these spaces that you see, the Artisan underneath, this is the parts that we will cut out. And these two pieces can be used just for pockets, so you're not wasting this. So these two small strips and those two long strips are the only pieces of this piece of 12 by 12 cardstock that are cut away. And I mean, I wouldn't use them, but you may, like I said, you may find a great use for them. So this is where we're going to start. We're going to score first line at 3 3/4 and then 1 at 4. Just line that up and just make sure that I am following my own instruction. Yes. And then we want to go with 7 3/4. If I can hold on to my tools today. And then again at 8. Okay. So you have a score line at 3 3/4, 4, 7 3/4, and 8. Then we're just going to turn counterclockwise once. We're going to score at 5. And as you can see, that was done here. And then we're going to score again at 10 and at 10 1/4. So now, and then we're going to turn it again back the way it was, and you see this. So as you can see, when I put this on here, this piece up here will become our flap. So all of these pieces from the second score line in to the second score line down, where that little square is, all of this will be cut out. Same thing goes with this here. I'm going to use my scissors to show that. So as you can see here, we're going to cut this line down to this corner and this line up to this corner. And you can do this on your cutter as well. I am just going to use scissors today. So here's what we have left on the top. Like I said, you can use these pieces. Yes, they do have score lines on them, but you're going to probably cover them with paper. So you can use those. And then we're going to go down and we're going to cut these 1/4 inch pieces out where we scored. We need the ones up at the top. We do not need these here. These are going to become our bottom flip up pages. So we want to cut these completely out. And just, if you're using scissors, cut as straight as possible so that your folio all folds together well. And then we'll cut that other one. Okay, so here we are again with this lovely little piece. So then you're going to want to fold up all of these and just kind of line them up with the box shape above that was made with your score lines before burnishing each one down. Sometimes our paper, when we score and cut a lot, especially a piece of this size, might get off kilter just a little bit in our cutting machines or with our scissors if we're using the naked eye to cut. So you just want to make sure that everything lines up with itself. And as you can see, I did use scissors, and because of that, if you can see this, hopefully, there's just a little bit of overhanging space there, and I don't want that. So I am going to go in and I'm just going to flatten that out by cutting that little tab off. I don't seem to have one on the other side. So then we're going to fold both of these score lines so that you get that nice hook style. And this is what you will end up with. Also this one, this is what holds these pieces together. So you want to fold one side in, doesn't matter which, put this over it, and then go over. Now there is another option when you make this, and as you can see, this is so cute when it's done. It ends up being 3 3/4 by 5. I mean, it's so just small and compact. Like I said, this could be inserted in an album, and it's just a great little folio. You can also, if you prefer, you have that 1/4 inch score line, which will allow you to place it this way as well if you wanted to make it look more like an envelope, like the other folio that we will be creating. So that is that one and the base of it. And you can round these corners. Now on this one, I actually just used a corner chomper and made that a little fancier. But you can run this through you use a die, you can use a fancier corner cutter, you can just snip it off and make it like an envelope. There's just many options for things that you can do with this. And I will have this completely decorated, and I will show you that. But what I would like to show you is the pieces that I have pre-cut. And these will all measure out at 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. And like as you can see, I've used different ones. And this is our inside, and this is our outside. So what you want to do is just lay your pieces out. They can go in any order you want. You will need 2 for each panel, so you'll need 12 of these. Again, they are 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. Let's just do a couple here. Just going to go in and distress my edges of that paper. This paper is absolutely stunning with the vintage photo. It makes it look even more vintage. This paper already has a really good vintage look to it, but I just love it with the vintage photo distress ink on the edges. Put glue on there, and we are just going to go along. Now, if we're doing a ribbon closure, this is where you would want to slip your ribbon under. So I'm going to cut a piece of this. And you probably don't need that much, but we'll cut it off. And I'm just going to set that down on here so that I know where it's at. And then I will put my page down on top of it. Try to keep that as straight as possible. And depending on where you're going to put your embellishments on your cover is wherever you want to put the ribbon. On the original, as you can see here, I put the ribbon down further because I had this larger embellishment, but you can do it any way you like. So just line that up as well as possible and really burnish the glue where that ribbon is so it doesn't try to pull out on you. And as you can see, that will be the cover. Now I'm going to pull some of these aside and show you some of the different ways that we're going to go to the inside now, actually. And as you can see, I've used a lot of different little bits and pieces to make tuck spots. I've made a couple of them with pockets that you can stick things in. And it's just super fun. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with these folios. They're just versatile and really simple. Okay, so I have gone off camera and gone ahead and added all of my pieces to the inside of this. I have not done any tuck spots or anything like that, and I will leave that to you to do however you like. So what I have done here is we did that ribbon on the cover. When you're all done, and you get to your back piece, which would be this second panel here, you want to do the same thing with a piece of ribbon up underneath of your paper before applying it. And something else I wanted to show you, I did forget to mention the flap. Now I have just used a simple embellished corner punch to make my punches, and I happen to have this little scrap of this piece of paper that says established 1890, and then you have the 25 cents down here, and I just thought that was cute, so I went ahead and added that. And I will tell you, for these flap covers, you will need, and you can use your scraps because I'm sure you have tons of these small scraps. These are 3 5/8 by 1 3/8, and then just make sure that you cut one with the corners at the top and one with the corners at the bottom, if you're rounding your corners like I did. So I'm going to show you what I did on the inside and outside of mine, just so you can get an idea of what it looks like all covered. So these are all covered, and I wanted to also show you that when you do these folios, the one page here, these should all be facing this direction so you see them when you open it. When you put these on, especially if you're doing it from the back side, make sure that when these fold up, they are also, as you can see, this one has the telephone. Make sure that these are all right side up as well. Otherwise, if you put them on the other way, they would be upside down. Now, when you turn it over to the front portion, they're going to look like they're upside down. But they're not. You need them to be upside down on the outside so that they're right side up on the inside. And as you can see here, this is where my ribbon comes out on this side, and this is where my ribbon comes out that we did on the cover. So now when you close it, we just fold up our flaps, fold this in, fold the flap in, and then this piece that we did on the front, I did this one, it's about 14 inches, and that one just kind of wraps around so that you get the front covered, and then we just tie it in our bow on the cover using the shorter piece that's at the back. And because I'm using a ribbon that has a design on one side, I kind of turn my ribbon a little bit as I do this. So that's what we have. And I will just run through my original real quick and show you some of the things that you can do. You can add tuck spots like so. This is just a piece of paper cut. This here is a pocket which was added, and then you can add an embellishment or a photo mat inside of there. This is another bottom pocket, and these are very simple to do. I can show you one here, just 1 second. You can do it with the patterned paper, or otherwise you can do it with a colored paper, whatever you choose. I am just going to grab a scrap from my bin of this gray that is left over. And this piece of scrap that I have is 2 3/4. And we have our embellished page, remember, is 3 5/8. So we want this to be 4 5/8 because we're going to want a 1/2 inch on either side. So I'm going to grab my cutter, cut this down to 4 5/8. Okay. I think we'll use this really pretty side so we have more flowers. And then we're just going to bring that in and put it on our scoreboard here. And we're going to score this at 1/2 inch. Score in from the 5/8 also at 1/2 inch, which would be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 4 1/8 mark if you're doing it from the inside. And then we're just going to take this and turn it. And again, we have that 2 3/4. So we're going to score that again down that way at 1/2 inch. And then we're just going to miter our corners. You can either cut the squares out or do what I'm doing and just miter those corners. And fold your score lines. And then fold that bottom flap last. Just going to fold that in. And it should overlap just a little bit onto your sides. Okay. I'm going to bring this back in and make sure that that is going to fit nicely, which it does. And you can do this with score tape as well, but we're just going to add some glue here. Not too much, don't need a whole lot. Make sure that your folds are all folded. Bring that right to the bottom of that paper piece at the top. And then we're just going to burnish all of that down while gluing. And now, as you can see, we have this fun little pocket. And you could put a small tag in there. You can do whatever you like. And I like how this looks because it's got the roses here and all the gray when you open this. So that is how to create a pocket. And that one made, because I used scrap and I didn't really measure. Normally I would do about a 2-inch pocket. This one is 2 1/4 inches tall. But you can do a lot of those types of things. Let's see, I have another scrap over here. That's interesting. That looks like a corner. I could take this piece and just put it on here. You can fussy cut some of the flowers and make tuck spots. Such as this piece here. I will show you. I need to grab some fussy cutting scissors. Here we go. So I'm just going to take this rose and I'm going to cut it out of this scrap. This is another great way to use up your scraps as well. I mean, a lot of us have scraps. We're not quite sure what to do with them. We don't want to throw them away because they're so beautiful, but we just don't know what to do with them. Well, I will tell you, any scrap that has florals or anything in it, definitely save, because if you're a junk journaler, you can definitely use those as embellishments. You can make all different types of embellishments with them using paper clips for your junk journals, and it's just a great way to utilize all of a collection of paper and all of the scraps that you have left over when you make a larger project. So as you can see, I have this little group of roses, and I'm just going to take this. I'm going to run a small bead of glue. Actually, I'm going to excuse me, I'm going to ink my edges first because that is how I've done the rest of the album, and I want it to all match. So I'm just going to run my glue right across that straight edge on the bottom, leaving enough space to tuck something. Line that right up with the middle of the page and across that bottom where our paper meets. And don't push your glue upward when you make these. Push it downward. That way you don't glue the whole thing to the page. And now we have this whole outlook here, and you can use this as a tuck spot. Easy peasy. And it's beautiful. So that is how to make the one-page folios. And again, you can do many, many things with these. You could add corner pockets. You could put a very small waterfall for those little photos that you make with the little Fuji cameras in here. There's just a lot. You could put a gift card in here, tea bag to give as a gift. These are just so fun and so easy. You could make a bunch of these up for a party. You can embellish the front. You can not embellish the front. For this one, when I finish it, I think I am just going to add some lace to the front and give this as a little gift to a friend. But they're very simple. And this is just one way to make a folio. There are so many out there. Like I said, I'm probably just going to add a little strip of this gorgeous lace on the front, and I'm going to have just a simple folio. So that is the one sheet folio. Next, we will move on to this folio, which is our wallet folio. And I will show you how to make that one as well. I'm back. So next we have another style of folio. This one, it kind of reminds me of a little purse. You could put a little strap on here. This is one I made a very, very long time ago with an authentic collection. And I used Velcro here, but I'm going to use a magnet closure for the one that we will create. But this one, as you can see, when it's all folded up, it is 5 by 5. However, when you open this, you get so much room in here. So we have this section up here with a pocket. And then on this page, we pull, and we have all of these fabulous, fabulous pullouts, pocket on the end. And on the back side, we also have places. So that's that one. And then on the bottom, we have the exact same thing. This pulls out this way. Just make sure you can see all that. And it also folds the other way so that you have all of this space. So you have an amazing amount of places to put stuff when creating this one. So let's just dive right into what you need for this one. So I'll be using for my base black artisan cardstock from Country Craft Creations, and I have already cut mine, but I will let you know what I have done here. So this one, you will need, is this my 5? Yes. You will need a 5-inch by 12-inch piece twice, I believe. No, just the once. You will also need, you have that 5-inch by 12-inch, and I've added score tape to the top of this, and I will show you why in a moment. You're also going to need another 5-inch by 6-inch piece. And this is the piece that is going to be added to this. Now, if you have 18 or 24-inch paper, you won't need as much, but I only have 12 by 12 in my stash. So that's why I did what I did here. So I am just going to follow that tape line to get this on here nice and straight. And that's going to give me the extra length I need for my folio. And so what we're going to do now is we have this piece, and I will do the scoring of that in just a moment. I want to set aside a couple things that I have on my desk here so it's out of the way. You're also going to need the sheets for the two accordion pullouts. And these are going to measure 12, 4.5 wide. So just your 12 by 12 artisan cardstock to 4.5 wide. And keep it at 12. And that's going to be our two pullouts that will come out of the inside of this, just like this one. So what we're going to do now is we are going to take that long piece and we are going to place it on our scoreboard. Now, be mindful, I do know that it's going to be longer than my scoreboard because it's about 18 inches. So we want to score at 5 and again at 10. And then you're just going to fold that up. Bring that score line. Going to pull that score line up to there. And then we're going to score again. Push that up against your, as you can see my fingers under there. I'm pushing up against that 0. And then scoring again at 5 here. Our top. I'm a little off kilter here. This will sit a little funny when you, I don't know if I'd say funny. It's just a little more rounded, kind of like a purse, as you can see here. You get that kind of flexed look. So what I'm going to do with that, actually, instead of using that as a pocket, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to put a score line here of 1/4 inch. And that's going to be when we put this, when this is folded, the end 5 inches, is folded in on itself. Then we're going to go down to where it's scored at 10 and score at 10 1/4. Okay, so next we're going to move on to the pull-out pieces that you need for the 2 accordion fold pull-outs. And for this, again, you need 2 4.5 by 12-inch pieces of the black artisan cardstock. And then you're also going to need some add-ons which measure 4 by 4.5, and you'll need 2 of those as well. And those we're just going to put together. On this, I'm just going to use glue. You can do this with score tape as well, as like we did with the base. I'm just going to put this right up against my scoreboard to make sure that my paper is nice and straight. And then I'm just going to adhere that. Wipe off any of the excess glue. I'm going to let that one dry a little bit and go on to the other one. Again, we have 2 of these. Just going to add a little bit of glue. And you don't need them to overlap a whole lot, but enough that it stays together. I'm doing about 1/4 inch on these. And if you're using score tape, again, just go with the score tape line like we did when we made the base. So then you just want to put that paper on there, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch for start. And that's going to be what tucks underneath our decorative paper to make this open here. And then our next score line, so we want to come to 4.5 and make a mark. So that's going to be your first pull out, and then at 8.5. And just like we did when we made the base, you're going to want to fold that 8.5 inch score line down, and then bring that 8.5 inch score line up to the 0 on your scoreboard here. And this one is a bit larger. This one we are actually going to score. Just put this on here really quick. This one will be at 4 3/4. So bring that score line, this is their folded piece, up here and score at 4 3/4. And then this last little bit here will just be our pocket. We'll just fold that backwards. And then just kind of eyeball your score lines and make sure everything is folding properly. Like so. Now I'm just going to burnish that down. And then we're just going to bring the other one in and do the same thing. And I would advise keeping the piece that you added on at this end to your right. It just makes things a little easier. Now we're going to score at 1/2 inch. Four and a half inches. And then 8.5 inches, and that makes these two 4. Make sure I'm telling you correctly here. Yes. And then again with that folding in, push this up against here, and then we're going to score at 4 3/4. And fold that one back as our pocket. And now this one will open the other direction, so this one can be folded over this way, unless you want your pocket on the inside. Okay, now we're just going to add these into the book. Bring in your base and grab one of these, and we're going to burnish down that 1/2 inch flap from that first score line. And you can do this with score tape or glue, either one, whatever one is your preference. And we are just going to glue that flap nicely. And bring this in to your paper of your base and go right in the middle of that sheet. So you'll have about 1/4 of an inch on the top and 1/4 of an inch on the bottom. And then burnish that down. Get rid of the excess glue, and now you can see that we will have our fold in, and then this one will fold back, and this one will fold on top of it, and you will have that envelope, or excuse me, pocket either on this side or this side, whichever you prefer, and we will cover this with our decorative papers. And we're going to do the same thing on the bottom one. Pull this aside so it's out of the way. Grab your 1/2 inch flap, fold that in, and this one is going to open from this side. We want one that opens this way and one that opens this way. So we're going to go ahead and put our glue on that flap. And we're going to put it on the left side on this one. Again, leaving that about 1/4 of an inch above and below. And we'll just burnish that down. And for this one, you'll fold in that first one, fold over this one, and again, you can put it in or out, whichever you prefer. And that is how you will have those pieces done. Again, we're going to fold it up and just eyeball where all of our score lines are lining up and our pages are lining up. And we have our top here, which I'm going to use a die, I do believe, to make my closure. Okay. Okay, so I've gone ahead and gone off camera and done a couple things with our wallet style folio. So I've already gone ahead and done all of my embellishing, minus some pockets I'm going to show you, as well as how to add the different tuck spots that I'll be using the cut apart sheet that comes with the collection. First, I'm going to show you what I've done so far. So I have covered all of our papers on the inside. I've purposely left this flap for the pocket blank. And as you can see, I have, like I said, embellished all of those, both front and back. Now, keep in mind when you're decorating this and you're cutting your papers out, you need to make sure that your papers are facing the proper direction. So this one, it doesn't really matter because it's just a grid pattern. But when you open it, you want to make sure that if there's lettering, it's facing the right direction, as well as these little balloons here. I wanted to make sure that they were facing in the proper orientation for what I was doing. And then when you flip it down, this also is the same. And if you turn it around, it's probably going to look backwards. Here we have our airplanes that move to the side. And all of these pieces also move simultaneously to the side, as you can see. So first I'm going to show you what I did with the top. So I cut about 1/2 of an inch of that excess space that we had on that flap off, which made our top flap go down to, it's 1 7/8 inch. So then I wanted to embellish those pieces with this paper here, and the flaps, the pieces measure 4 7/8 by 1 3/4. And then I used this rounder from We Are Memory Keepers at the 10mm mark and did the corners. So when I cut my papers, just like we did on the other folio, I made sure that 2 were at the bottom and 2 were at the top. So those were applied that way. Then for this portion, since I did not use a die for this one, I went into my stash of dies and grabbed 2 larger nesting heart dies. And these have this kind of intricate stitch pattern on them. And I grabbed the 2 largest of those. I cut one from the Black Artisan cardstock. And then I just thought this was so cute from this paper with the little heart peeking out of the clouds. And that is what I chose to do for my friend. So in order for this to seal up, I have placed a magnet here. And we're going to cover this with a one of the cut apart so that you don't see it. And then this piece has the magnet on the back, and that was just put on there with the sticky that they give you and lined up to make sure that it's going to work with my magnet. Now we can actually adhere this to the top flap. So you just want to make sure that you only put your glue on the top portion of the heart, just to get it to set down a little better on that flap. We don't need a lot, just enough. Remember to line up your magnet. Because this is going to be what makes this close in the end. So it's like a little purse flap. And see how that is? We have all of that. And you can burnish that down a bit. And we're going to cover both of those, like I said, with some of these cut aparts that are from the collection. I just need to dive in here, grab some. I have some others in here. So these are all of the pieces. I actually cut most of mine using my brother's Scan and Cut from the sheet. And I like to just kind of lay them out when I'm doing a folio. There are many. So I like to see what I have. I'm going to set this off to the side. And then I know what I have to work with as far as my different cut aparts. And I am just going to line these up. I know you can't see them all in camera view, but I will show you as I grab them to use them in the folio. There's so many. Oh, I love this one with a little thumbprint. That's so cute. Just a couple more here. Okay, so now I have all those laid out. And we have our little heart here. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a simple one. I'm going to probably just grab this cute little heart because it matches the hearts in the background. And I'm going to put that over the inside magnet here. I'm probably out of frame. So let's put that back in the frame. And we're just going to put that right down on that magnet. And then we're going to do the same thing. Grab another one that is fairly round. I kind of like this little one that says love here, or you could do a circle. I'm going to actually grab this oval, I think, because it does match so well with the cute little paper airplanes there. And I'm just going to adhere that so that it covers my magnet. Kind of centered. And it just adds another little embellishment as well to the album. That is what these cut aparts were meant to do. So we are using them in their right. So as you can see, now we have a way to close it. And it's super cute. So next I'm going to show you how to make the top pocket. In the original one, I had this top pocket to slip stuff in. And how we're going to do that is I've taken a piece of scrap that I had left over of the paper. And this is going to be a 2.5 by 5 7/8. And we're just going to grab, I'm going to grab my smaller No, I'll just get a big one. It works better. So grab my scoreboard here. And we're going to make this pocket real quick. We're going to score this at 1/2 inch. Turn, score it 1/2 inch on the other side. You can also score it inward. It's just easier for me this way. And then across the bottom. So you have a 1/2 inch score line, a 1/2 inch score line, and then across the bottom. Then we are just going to miter those corners. You can either cut the whole square out or just miter them like I'm going to do here. Leaving just a little bit of overhang. Fold in those side flaps first. And then your bottom flap, which will overlap those side flaps just a tad, and that's what you want. And again, you can do this with score tape, or do as I'm doing and just use your art glitter or other adhesive, liquid adhesive. And we are going to pull in our folio. Grab those side flaps so that we make sure that bottom flap goes first. And we are just going to adhere that right on the bottom there. Easy peasy. And now you have a fun little envelope just like we did in the original here. And this can be used. You can put some of these fun pieces in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually add a little bit of embellishment to the pocket with some of these cute cut aparts. I want to get this scoreboard out of our way. Let's go with this one. It says, "Our love is magic." I like that. So we're going to go ahead and put that on our pocket. And these are just some of the ways you can embellish. I just wanted to show you some of the ways that I do it. You don't have to do yours exactly like this. I'm going to grab a strip of paper that I have left over to go across this pocket, and I'm going to cut it to that 4 7/8 length that the pocket is, or excuse me, width that the pocket is. We're just going to go right to that 4 7/8 mark. Just a little added touch. Easy way to decorate a pocket. And I am just going to take that cute little plaid paper. And I'm going to put that across the middle portion of our pocket. Get that as straight as possible. Isn't that cute? And then we'll take our little Love is Magic cut apart and put that right in the middle where we put that strip. Super cute. And now we have one of our pockets decorated. Next, we're going to move on to the inside pockets. So I'm just going to show you quickly how to adhere these. So the first one, I decided to put mine inside. So they're tucked in. You can also put them on the outside and then slide something in. I am just choosing to put them on here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to run glue right down the side. Really thin bead of glue. Hopefully the camera is picking that up. Normally I have another monitor off to my side that shows me that I'm getting everything in view of the camera, and I don't have it working at the moment. So unfortunately, I'm having to do this somewhat blind. So now we have that little tucked pocket right there. And rather than over embellish this pocket, what I am going to do is I am going to take this adorable little, either this one or one of these others. I think I may go with one of these girls because the way they're sitting, it goes well. So I'm just going to take her. And I'm going to put her on the pocket rather than embellishing the pocket with a full piece of paper, which you can also do that as well. I would just like to have her kind of offset to the side here. And that is that pocket. And then, of course, we'll do the same with this pocket. Just run that bead of glue up the sides. And if you wanted your pockets to be able to hold more, you can add some 1/2-inch gussets to these pockets. There's many, many tutorials out there. It's just a 1/2-inch, 1-inch piece of paper folded to the length of the pocket. And then you just slide that in there and you will have the room that you need. So I'm going to do this other lady cut apart on this pocket, just like I did on the first pocket. We're just going to put another little embellishment. Try to get that on there straight, and I will have to make sure that the camera is picking that up. And then you would just add whatever you want in your pockets, and you can add more tuck spots. Like this one, it would be super cute by adding to add a tuck spot. Super duper simple. We're just going to take the bottom portion of this and add some glue, and then adhere it. And then we'll have this left to tuck a picture or anything that we want in. And you can do that with these all the way throughout on every page if you like. I did a lot of the tuck-ins on my original. I also wanted to go over just what you need. So you have all of your measurements. So for the decorative papers, the flaps on the top, front and back of that top flap you need 2 pieces that measure 4 7/8 by 1 3/4. And then, like I said, I used my corner rounder at 10 millimeters and snipped those corners. If you're going to do this type of a closure, you will need some heart-shaped nesting dies, or you can just cut hearts out and do the same thing I did here. The magnets for the main pages being the largest, and there are a total of 6 of them at 4 7/8 by 4 7/8. So you have 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. These are our main, these are what covers the base that we made before we added the accordion. And then for the accordion pieces that pull out, you need 4 this size, and this is 4 5/8. That would be, I believe it's this way. Let's check this really quick. I don't want to give you the wrong measurements. So we are going to have 4 5/8 by 4 3/8, and you need 4 of those. So you'll need 1, 2 for this pullout, 2 for this pullout. And then the smaller ones, all of these, you will need 8 pieces that are 3 7/8 across by 4 3/8 tall. Okay. Now, if you want to add these types of things, the pocket embellishments, they are 1 inch by 4 7/8 is that strip. And again, the pocket measured 2.5 by 5 7/8, and then we scored 1/2 inch on both sides and 1/2 inch across the bottom. So that is my wallet style folio. And like I said before, you could add a little strap to this and make it look like a little purse. It would be super cute. I hope that you have enjoyed these tutorials, and I'm sure I will do many, many more videos with folios because I absolutely love them. Please make some of these, and if you do, share them with us on Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creation so we can see all your lovely work. Have a wonderful day. Until next time.